The old school Runescape Wiki has just released all the Deadman sigils that will be coming out in Deadman Apocalypse today at 5 PM. Starting off with the starter sigils, they're the same as last time in Deadman Reborn. Most of you are probably already aware of these, so I won't go through them. The three are Sigil of the Ruthless Ranger, Sigil of the Feral Fighter, and Sigil of the Menacing Mage. So as we know, there's 3 tiers of sigils. There's Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. And they're broken up into 3 categories: combat, skilling, and utility. Starting off with the Sigil of Resistance, all attacks from monsters are reduced by 25%. Damage reduction effect does not stack with the Sigil of Titanium. So the Sigil of Titanium is a Tier 3 sigil that we'll get onto later, but effectively it has the same effect as this, but it reduces damage by more than 25%. Moving along, we've got some skilling sigils. The Sigil of the Abyss, which gives you 10 times as many runes as usual. The Sigil of the Forager, which triples resources in mining, fishing, woodcutting, and farming. The Sigil of Storage, which has a 90% chance to send newly gathered resources to a bank when mining, fishing, woodcutting, or farming. The Sigil of Sustenance. This gives you a 50% chance not to consume secondary ingredients when creating potions, so similar to the Amulet of Nature. Now we have the Sigil of Agile Fortune. This one's really good. It gives you 10,000 coins, 10k, every time a Mark of Grace appears when doing rooftop agility. This is going to be even more powerful than doing early game agility pyramid. The Sigil of Hoarding essentially gives you 3 times what you'd get in Wintertot, Temperos, and Guardians of the Rift. So Wintertot you get 3 crates, Temperos and Guardians of the Rift you'll get 3 times the amount of reward points, so 3 times the amount of resources. Sigil of the Alchemaniac is what I thought it would be, but it's not as overpowered as I thought. It's 30% extra coins. So the next 2 could be really interesting since they give you essentially more food. So in your inventory you could have maximum 28 pieces of food. Obviously with gear and stuff it'd be less, but by having these next 2, which is the Sigil of the Food Master and the Sigil of the Well-Fed, essentially you have a 20% chance not to consume food. And for the second one, you have a 20% chance to gain twice the number of hit points from any food or potions consumed. Keyword is potions, so Saradon Brews, they're going to be lasting 20% more. So essentially having both of these active together, you're going to have high outlast capabilities. So you're going to be getting 40% more food for what you have in your pack, which is insane. Sigil of the Eternal Jeweler is going to be massive for questing early game because it gives you access to all the teleports that any jewelry gives you, as well as things like Master Scroll Book, etc. Now going on to the Tier 2 sigils, which are more powerful, we're starting off with the Sigil of the Lightbearer. This is exactly as the name suggests. Special attack regeneration will become 15 seconds per 10%, so that's the same as the Ring of the Lightbearer. However, if a Lightbearer ring is also equipped, special attack regeneration will become 10 seconds per 10%, so you essentially get 10% energy every 10 seconds. This one's going to be really OP, especially with the breaches bringing in the corrupt weapons into the game. So early game, we're going to have people having this ring with corrupted Voidwakers. They'll be attacking you once every 50 seconds, which is a massive DPS increase with the weapons like the Voidwaker in the game. Sigil of Precision. Interestingly, this only affects monsters, so you have 50% more accuracy in all styles. This is going to be quite good for bossing and PVM. The Sigil of the Augmented Thrall. This one is probably the best sigil in the game. It triples your max hit, and I talked about this in my last video. This combined with the Trinket of Undead is going to give you thralls without any requirements, and your thralls are going to be hitting 9s. That is a huge DPS increase. And not only that, because you'll be using a trinket alongside it, those trinkets don't take up sigil slots. So you're going to be able to run around with Trinket of Vengeance, Trinket of Undead, which is the Thralls, and then you'll also be on the Ancient Spellbook. You'll be able to use the most powerful spells in each of the spellbooks at the exact same time. This next sigil is another powerful sigil, the Sigil of Specialized Strikes. What this essentially does is reduce the amount of special attack energy you use to 10. I don't know of any special attack weapons that use less than 10 energy. I feel like this is going to affect every single weapon that has a special attack. So if you use a Voidwaker, you're going to be only using 10% instead of 50%. Now we have the Sigil of the Binding. I wonder if this affects Ancients, so if any of you know, let me know in the comments below. But essentially this gives you increased accuracy on your next binding spell within the next 12 seconds with a 30-second countdown. This next sigil is so good for money. Sigil of the Hunter. You gain 3 Chinchompas per successful Chinchompa capture. That is so insanely powerful because Chinchompas go for so much in this game mode and there's high demand for it, so everyone's going to be running around with 99 range. Okay, the next 2 are pretty self-explanatory. Sigil of the Infernal Chef and Infernal Smith. They work the same as Infernal Axe and Pickaxe, just for cooking and for smithing. Sigil of Nature for all you farmers. You can grow crops 5 times quicker and you can also choose your own farming contracts. Herbs will be coming into the game quite fast. Sigil of the Bloodhound. This was not how I expected it was going to be. I was really off with my guess in my last video, but essentially, you could get a reward cast gear after your first step. There's a 75% chance. It's unlikely you're going to be doing more than 2 or 3 steps with any clue step. Sigil of Faith. We could expect this was going to be about prayer, but essentially when you're consuming prayer restoring potions like prayer pots and super restores, you'll have a 20% chance to gain twice the number of prayer points. This could be another sigil that goes quite nicely with the 2 food sigils that we talked about earlier, because this will reduce the amount of prayer pots or super restores you'll need in your pack. You'll still need super restores to be able to restore your stats, but in terms of the prayer aspect, this will save you some space. The Sigil of Slaughter is much like the Bracelet of Slaughter, except you can pay 30 Slayer points to choose your own Slayer task. This one will really be good for anyone who's trying to power slay through Slayer to make money. You can just keep choosing things like Necreals or Blood Velds for XP. It could also help with boss tasks. You won't be able to choose which boss, I don't think, but you can choose to actually get a boss task. This will be really good for farming points for the prizes at the end of Deadman. Sigil of the Serpent essentially just gives you immunity from poison and venom whenever you activate it. It will be really good for things like Zulrah when you don't have anti-venoms in the game, but overall, pretty dead. Okay, finally onto the good stuff. We have the tier 3 sigils. Some of these are so good. Starting off with the Sigil of Titanium, which is essentially the same as the Sigil of Resistance, but it's buffed. Attacks from monsters are reduced by 60%. The key thing about this is specific to damage from monsters, but the fact that it's damage related is really powerful. It's not accuracy related. You're not going to be taking massive hits from raid bosses doing TOB. This is going to make it a lot easier to farm those types of content. If you manage to get your hand on one of these early game, just send it to some bosses. You have such a high chance of getting sigils and some of the most useful items in the game, such as the Tumican Shadow from Tombs of a Massacre. And these items are going to swap for insane amounts from old school if you get one of the first ones. Definitely need to get early on this one. Sigil of the Ninja. I really was off the mark with this one on my last video. I was saying that this one could be like how, you know, Abyssal Demons, how they teleport around? Yeah, I was really off the mark. Essentially what this one will do will increase the speed of your attacks. So if you have like a God Sword which has attack speed of I think 6 or 7, you're going to be swinging with that God Sword a lot more often, so DPS will be a lot higher. Very powerful sigil. I think if you combine this with all the slowest but hard hitting weapons in the game, like the Elder Maul or the Heavy Ballista, this is going to be really powerful. The Sigil of Finality is here from the previous Deadman Reborn, and essentially it gives you 100% accuracy on your next special attack within the next 12 seconds. I think a lot of people did use this in the final hour. Keep an eye on this one. The Sigil of Pious Protection is a tanky sigil. It's great for Outlast if you are quite skilled. Essentially what it does is it decreases the amount of damage you take by 25% if you protect against the correct prayer. So for example, if someone's attacking you with melee, if you stick on Protect from melee before they hit you, you will take 25% less damage on top of the 50% reduction that I think Protect from melee gives you. The Sigil of Aggression is a popular sigil from the previous Deadman Reborn. What it does is it allows you to deal 10% more damage, but you also take 5% damage back from all sources. So you'll be less tanky, but you'll also be doing more DPS. Very powerful. The difference here between last Deadman is this does not stack with the Sigil of Rampage, which we're coming on to now. The Sigil of Rampage is another popular one from last Deadman. The Sigil of Rampage essentially allows you to increase your DPS by switching attack styles every hit. This is great for people that are hybriding or tribriding with different attack styles. If you attack with melee and then range, for example, and then melee again, this will essentially add a counter, and for each counter that you have up to 5, you'll do 2% more damage and accuracy. So if you do this right, you'll be doing 10% more damage with every hit. Sigil of Woodcraft, I'm not quite sure why this is a tier 3 sigil, but what it allows you to do is turn logs into planks when you chop them. I mean, saves some time and money, but it's not really the best. And finally, the best has been saved for last. We have the Sigil of Last Recall. If you ever played in Trailblazer League, you'll realize how powerful this sigil is. What it allows you to do is essentially teleport back to where you just teleported from most recently. So for example, I might be at God Wars killing Bandos. I'll use up all my food, teleport out, then go to the bank, refill all my food and pots, then I can literally just use the Sigil of Last Recall to go back instantly to Bandos, provided it's not in an instance. This sigil was so powerful in leagues that every single person that played that mode was using it. Okay, that wraps it up for all sigils that are coming out in Deadman Apocalypse tonight at 5 PM. Let me know which ones you're going to be trying to get, and I will see you all on Twitch on my channel twitch.tv/mujinboo at 5 PM. We'll walk through my starter strategy together and we'll have a great time playing this game mode over the next couple weeks. No more waiting, Deadman Apocalypse is here. Mujinboo out.